And I'm sure many of you have heard of envy, whether it's from a religious text or from the internet where someone has displayed their act. But with envy, it's not to be confused with jealousy. I know many people will get this wrong and assume that, they're just the same word. Jealousy ties around three parties where one party is endangered and at risk of loss, whereas envy only requires two parties. So going into detail, essentially envy is simply wanting something that someone possesses, whether that's a skill or a job or a lifestyle, such as this guy has this car, I want that car. It's a simple form of envy. But jealousy is more like it's like a risk that you will lose something. So essentially say your wife is spending more time with the neighbor's family. You will become jealous, or you become jealous of the neighbors because they have more time than you to spend with your wife. So you're at risk of losing time with your wife, and that forms a jealousy. Moreover, in the book Tall Poppy Syndrome, which we'll cover more later in the video, basically discusses the differences between the two terms, and it states that they should not be used interchangeably because of their different meanings. So essentially with envy and jealousy, or envy and jealous, we shouldn't use them so similarly because although they are quite similar, they do have different meanings and different outcomes. Essentially with envy, it's not good to always look at it at a negative way because there's also some positive envy or some good envy. So for example might be, say, you see someone with a Ferrari, you become motivated and influenced to work hard so you can also achieve that Ferrari just like the person you saw. Now, this form of envy is positive envy, so this is good. Envy is also portrayed in television shows and movies. We've all seen it happen most of the time. We become happy when the envious becomes trouble and loses in the battle. Just like in the story of Cinderella, the stepmothers and stepsisters envy what Cinderella has, which is her shoe size, There is also examples of jealousy well displayed when the stepsisters become jealous of Cinderella going with the prince because she's everything they are not. She's charming, she's kind, she's upright. This tends to form bad intentions from the envious and can end up changing the course of someone's life just because of envy. Also, in the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Snow White has the beauty. The witch, on the other hand, realizes this from the mirror, which states there is someone more beautiful than the witch. So envy drives the witch to basically subdue Snow White using an apple. Now, envy is very common across all animated movies. For example, Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, they all seem to capitalize on this concept of envy. And that's because it drives the story, it gives them more attention to the film because of the drama and tension it provides, it keeps the reader hooked on. And so being an envious person, it becomes pretty common across the world because everyone becomes exposed to it at a young age and everyone's aware of what it is, whether they know about it or not, or whether subconsciously or not. Now, one country in particular which is heavy on envy is Australia. And this is because Australia has a term tall poppy syndrome, which is basically a concept originated from Australia, where amongst a group of poppies, any outliers or tall poppies will be cut down to meet the same size as the others. Now, if you use this analogy, in the workspace, people will often cut down successful people to bring them down because of envy. The envious person can't see anyone being higher than them, so they must bring them down to the level so they're satisfied. One example we're seeing in the media right now is Adrian Portelli, an Australian billionaire, but he's being exposed on the news for allegations and such. Now, the reasons are due to unlawful activity, and I'm not here to agree or disagree with the allegations, but I'm showing the evidence of what happens to those who rise amongst others. Because Australia's social media status among the other countries is poor in comparison, anyone trying to become famous or successful off social media is often criticized and put down by people more so than the same person that's trying in America. Now, why this is because in Australia, it revolves around an egalitarian society, which is basically an equal rights opportunities principle, a fair go for everyone. And so seeing someone outside of this bubble sparks curiosity and envy, which is enough to attack that person and bring him down. Now, it's important to understand being a victim of envy will be inevitable wherever you go. Whenever you're trying to succeed in this world, it'll come. But it's simply a part of life. You shouldn't be affected by it to an extent where you are questioning your work and lifestyle. On the other hand, we shouldn't have this envious approach towards others because it can lead to terrible consequences. In Roman Catholic theology, envy is one of the 7 deadly sins. Being categorized as a deadly sin paints a picture of how harmful it can be not only to the envious person, but also to the victim. Now, in the later years or in the later months, we'll go more into detail, but for now, this is just an overview. Also, stay tuned for the next video, which will be about the gym. Thank you.